Have you ever noticed that you can be lost in thought for 10 minutes and then suddenly realize you were lost in thought? And have you ever wondered who or what is doing the noticing before you even decide to do it? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about something that sounds simple, but changes everything once you actually feel it for yourself. The first idea is this: awareness is not something you need to manufacture. It is already here, quietly doing its job, even when your mind is loud. The second idea is this: the path to peace is not always about controlling thoughts or fixing emotions. Sometimes the deepest relief comes from recognizing the space that already holds all of it, without being damaged by any of it. Let me tell this like a story, because most people hear these teachings as concepts and then try to force them into practice like homework. But awareness is not homework. It is closer to remembering something you never truly lost. Imagine someone who has been carrying a flashlight all their life, but never realized it was in their hand. They keep complaining that the room is dark. They blame the furniture, the windows, the weather, their childhood, their schedule, their phone, their partner, their hormones, their personality type. Some of those things matter, sure, but the whole time the light is already there. Not turned on all the way, not aimed properly, not trusted. And because they never notice the flashlight itself, they spend their life rearranging the room, exhausted, in the kind of meditation and inner training that teachers like Ming, Why You Are Rinpoche point to. The first miracle is not some dramatic vision. The first miracle is noticing that the flashlight exists, noticing that the knowing quality, the simple capacity to experience, is already present before you add commentary. Most of us live as if the mind is a boss shouting orders and awareness is a worker that must obey. But it is the other way around. Mind is content. Awareness is the context. Thoughts are weather. Awareness is sky. Feelings are waves. Awareness is ocean. And here is the part that is almost too gentle for the modern mindset to accept: you do not need to fight the weather to be the sky. Now, if you are listening and you are thinking, okay, cool metaphor, but my anxiety is not a metaphor. My heartbreak is not a metaphor. My stress is not a metaphor. I get it. So let's bring it down to real life. Picture a regular morning. You wake up and before your feet touch the floor, your mind is already running a meeting. The meeting agenda is always the same. What went wrong yesterday? What might go wrong today? What you should have said? What you should not have done? What they might think? What you need to fix? The mind does not ask if you want this meeting. It just starts the meeting. And because you have attended this meeting thousands of times, you assume attendance is mandatory. But then something happens. You notice the meeting. You notice the voice. You notice the loop. That moment of noticing is not the loop. That moment is awareness recognizing mind. This is the doorway. It is small. It is not flashy. It is not a fireworks show. But it is stable. Because the loop changes shape. The loop gets louder or quieter. The loop can switch topics from money to health to love to self-worth. But the noticing does not need to change. It is the same simple knowing. A lot of people think meditation is about getting rid of thoughts. That is like thinking the ocean should get rid of waves to be an ocean. Waves are what oceans do. Thoughts are what brains do. The issue is not that waves exist. The issue is when you believe you are only a wave. The issue is when you forget the depth. In Buddhist language, you might hear about suffering coming from grasping, clinging, and confusion. Confusion is not stupidity. Confusion is misidentification. It is taking what arises in awareness and calling it me. It is taking a passing emotion and calling it my identity. It is taking a thought and calling it truth. And then, because you call it truth, you fight, you flee, you freeze, you hustle, you hide, you create karma, meaning patterns of action and reaction. And those patterns ripple forward. Here is something practical you can test immediately. Think of a memory that irritates you. Not the most traumatic thing in your life, just something that makes your chest tighten. Notice what happens. A picture appears in the mind. Words appear. The body responds. Maybe your jaw tighten. Maybe your stomach twists. Maybe your shoulders lift. Now pause and ask one simple question. Is the irritation aware? Or is awareness aware of irritation? You will feel the difference. Irritation is hot, narrow. Awareness is open, quiet, inclusive. Awareness does not deny the irritation. It simply knows it. This matters because many of us have been trained to handle pain into unhelpful ways. One way is suppression. Push it down. Pretend it is not there. Act productive. Scroll faster. Smile harder. The other way is obsession. Analyze it. Rehearse it. Build a whole identity around it. Post about it. Argue with it. Punish yourself with it. Awareness offers a third way. Presence. The middle way. Not stuffing it away. Not turning it into a shrine. Just allowing it to be felt, seen, and held. When you do this, something almost shocking can happen. The pain starts to move. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped freezing it with resistance. Resistance is like gripping a rope so tightly that your hand cramps. And then you complain that ropes hurt. The rope is not the only issue. The grip is the issue. Let me bring in a simple scene that almost everyone knows. You are watching a movie, and it is intense. Your heart races. Your eyes water. Your hands clench. For a moment you are inside the story. But then the phone rings, or the screen freezes, or someone walks in and says, "Hey, are you okay?" And suddenly you remember you are sitting in a room. You are not literally in the battlefield. You are not literally being chased. You were absorbed. Thoughts and emotions can work the same way. They are compelling movies. They have soundtracks. They have plot twists. They have villains and heroes. But awareness is the living room. Waking up is remembering the room without needing to destroy the movie screen. This is why some teachers say the goal is not to have a perfect mind. The goal is to know mind, to see it as mind, to stop treating every mental event as a direct command. Now let's talk about the fear people have when they hear this. They worry that if they stop gripping, they will become passive. They worry that if they stop identifying with anxiety, they will stop caring. They worry that if they step back into awareness, life will become flat. In real practice, the opposite tends to happen. When you stop being consumed by the mental storm, you can respond more intelligently. You can care without panic. You can love without possession. You can work without self-hatred. You can set boundaries without cruelty. Compassion becomes more natural because you start to see that other people are also watching their own stormy movies, and often they do not even know there is a living room. They lash out from pain. They cling from fear. They chase from emptiness. That does not mean you tolerate harm. It means you understand the cause. And understanding the cause is the beginning of wisdom. In Chinese wisdom traditions, there is a phrase often translated as effortless action, meaning alignment with reality rather than constant forced control. That does not mean doing nothing. It means doing what is needed without the extra layer of egoic struggle. When awareness leads, action becomes cleaner. Less waste, less drama, less self-deception. So how do you tap into awareness in a way that is not just pretty talk? Start small. Start in the middle of ordinary life, because that is where your karma is created. The grocery store, the bus, the classroom, the family dinner, the moment before you reply to a message. Those moments are where patterns live. Try this. The next time you feel rushed, do not immediately try to calm down. Instead, notice the sensation of rushing. Where is it in the body? Is it buzzing? Tight? Hot? Heavy? Notice that you can feel it. The fact that you can feel it means you are not identical to it. You are the knowing of it. Then, add one more step. Notice what else is here right now that is not rushed. Maybe sound is here. Maybe the weight of your feet is here. Maybe the fact that the room has space is here. Maybe the breath is here. You are not trying to replace rushing. You are widening the frame. This widening is a training in freedom, because suffering often comes from tunnel vision. One thought becomes the whole universe. One feeling becomes the whole identity. Awareness widens the universe back to its true size. Another practice is to notice awareness during pleasant moments, not only during stress. When you taste something good, notice the tasting, then the knowing of tasting. When you laugh, notice laughter and the knowing of laughter. This is important because otherwise awareness becomes a tool you only use when broken. But awareness is also the texture of elevates. Now, there is a deeper point that Buddhist practice emphasizes, and it connects directly to karma and destiny. If you keep identifying with every thought, your life becomes a predictable machine. Trigger leads to reaction. Reaction leads to consequence. Consequence leads to more triggers. Over time, that chain feels like fate. People say, "This is just who I am. This is my destiny. I always mess up relationships. I always sabotage opportunities. I always get angry. I always overthink." Awareness interrupts the chain, not by force, but by seeing. Seeing creates choice, and choice changes karma. Karma does not mean some cosmic punishment system that is waiting to hit you. At the simplest level, it is cause and effect in the mind and heart. If you water resentment, resentment grows. If you water gratitude, gratitude grows. If you rehearse fear, fear becomes your default lens. If you practice presence, presence becomes your refuge. So destiny becomes less like a fixed script and more like a direction shaped by habits. Awareness is the hand on the steering wheel. Let me give a more personal style example, the kind you might recognize from someone in your life. Imagine a person who always feels not enough. They walk into a room and instantly compare. They see someone confident and feel smaller. They see someone successful and feel behind. They see someone attractive and feel unworthy. Their mind is like a scoreboard that never stops updating. If you tell this person to stop comparing, it rarely works. Comparing is a habit, almost automatic. But if you help this person notice the comparing as a mental event, something shifts. Instead of being the loser on the scoreboard, they become the one who sees the scoreboard. At first the scoreboard still runs, but now there is space. And in that space, they can ask, is this thought kind? Is it true? Is it useful? Who would I be for the next 10 seconds if I did not believe this? That question is not denial. It is liberation. In many meditation traditions, there is a gentle instruction: recognize and rest. Recognize what is happening. Allow it to be there without feeding it. Rest is the awareness that knows it. This is not laziness. This is strength. Because the hardest thing for the ego is to stop controlling. It thinks control equals survival. But awareness shows another kind of survival openness that is not fragile. There is also the theme of impermanence. Everything that arises passes. Thoughts pass. Moods pass. Even identities pass. If you do not know awareness, impermanence feels terrifying. You cling harder. You grip relationships, status, certainty. But if you know awareness, impermanence becomes less threatening, because you discover something stable that is not a thing. Awareness is stable not as an object, but as the capacity for experience itself. This is why letting go is so powerful. Letting go is not losing. It is releasing the extra struggle that makes pain into suffering. Pain is part of life. Bodies get sick. People leave. Plans fail. The world changes. But suffering is the additional mental contraction that says, this should not be happening. I cannot handle this. This means I am doomed. This proves I am unlovable. That contraction is optional, even if it feels automatic at first. When you rest in awareness, you begin to taste a kind of fearlessness. Not the fearless of action movies, the fearless of spaciousness. Fear can still appear, but it is not the boss. It is a visitor. And here is where compassion becomes inseparable from wisdom. When you see your own mind clearly, you stop hating yourself for having a mind. You stop acting like you are broken because thoughts arrive. You stop shaming yourself for being human. That self-kindness naturally extends outward. You start to listen better. You pause before you react. You notice when someone is speaking from hurt. You notice when you are speaking from hurt. You take responsibility without self-punishment. You apologize without humiliation. You forgive without becoming naive. This is practice, not perfection. Now let us bring this all the way back to the question in the title. Why are you already aware without trying? Because awareness is the ground. It is not earned. It is not a prize for good people. It is the basic fact of being alive. Even when you are confused, you are aware of confusion. Even when you are distracted, you are aware of distraction. Even when you are numb, you are aware of numbness. The proof is in the knowing. So the real skill is to stop overlooking it. In meditation, one simple instruction is to look for the one who is looking. Not as a philosophical puzzle, but as a direct experience. When you turn attention toward awareness itself, you may not find a solid thing. You may find openness. You may find clarity. You may find a kind of awake space. That is the point. The self you have been defending is often a story made of thoughts, memories, and sensations. When you see that, you become less trapped. This does not erase your personality. It puts your personality in a healthier place, like a tool instead of a jail. And when you live from that place, your daily life becomes a path. Washing dishes becomes a practice of presence. Walking becomes a practice of groundedness. Studying becomes a practice of patience. Conflict becomes a practice of compassion and wise speech. Even setbacks become teachers, showing you where you still cling. That is the Buddha path in everyday language. Wake up, again and again. Choose kindness, again and again. See cause and effect, again and again. Let go, again and again. Not because you are trying to become holy, but because you are tired of suffering and you are ready to be free. As we come toward the end, I want to speak to the quiet part of you that may be thinking, I have tried mindfulness before and it did not work. If that is you, consider this: maybe you were trying to use mindfulness like a hammer to smash your thoughts. But awareness is not a hammer. It is a home. Try approaching it with gentleness, even curiosity. The next time you notice you are lost in thought, instead of judging yourself, celebrate the noticing. That noticing is awakening in miniature. It is the spark, and sparks become fires, not by force, but by consistent contact with fuel. The fuel is practice. Small moments, many times a day. A breath here, a pause there. Eye recognition of space, a softening of grip. Over weeks and months, you will notice something. The mind still has meetings, but you stop attending every meeting. The mind still tells stories, but you stop signing every contract. The emotions still rise, but you stop drowning in every wave. That is freedom. Quiet, practical, real. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If something in this episode gave you even a tiny moment of space, I would love to hear about it. In the comments, share one situation where you usually get pulled into a mental movie, and what it feels like when you remember the living room of awareness. And if you want more videos like this, support the channel by subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment. It helps this community grow, and it tells the algorithm that inner peace is worth spreading. Until next time, keep practicing, keep softening, and keep trusting the awareness that has been with you the whole time.